Hi there, welcome to the I Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Dubston. Thank you for being here with me for our weekly I Ching forecast with the week commencing the 2nd of March, 2026. Right, last week we had that interesting energy of Hexagram 25 being open to surprise, being disentangled from complexity, getting ourselves out of overcomplicated thinking, right? Getting into simplicity, being ready for the time to act when it's time, to be spontaneous, to take advantage of the opportunity and to release ourselves from unnecessary complexity. Coupled with Hexagram 61 of centered truth, inner truth, an interesting combination of two hexagrams, truth and disentangling. No doubt for us all, there were wonderful insights of where truthfully we saw into the complexity, we saw into the entanglement, and we were able to find ways of getting out of that entanglement, moving forward. A wonderful energy of truth, of clarity, of the inside and the outside selves lining up, really understanding ourselves and our situation, and finding ways of disentangling, of getting back to that innocence of a child, that simplicity that looks at the situation without all the neural pathways of preconditioned thinking that we have, seeing things as they are, seeing truth as it is. So if anything came up for you this past week, getting to the heart of your life, of your situation, freeing yourself up from the complexity, please do share a comment. We'd love to hear from you. All right, getting into this first week of March, we've just had the March overview, very intense, lots of change with Hexagram 49 revolution. And so we have an interesting energy to get the month going with, right? We have our first hexagram is Hexagram 41 decrease. Oh boy. Okay, so this idea of decrease, right, at its heart talks about some kind of loss, a diminishing, a reduction. But what I love thinking about with this hexagram is the idea of decrease as a concept with this hexagram tied to the idea of sacrifice. Okay. When we are self-sacrificing unnecessarily, we keep giving for ourselves, okay, giving of ourselves, our energy, our time, our money, whatever it is, for an unsure return. Okay, we are just sacrificing ourselves for the needs around us, right? But a sacrifice, if we think about what it really means, it is letting go of something of the lower to embrace something of the higher. Okay, letting go of a short-term goal for a long-term goal. Letting go of the glass of wine, okay, for the jug of water. It's this kind of idea, although I am not knocking wine at all. Okay, so the idea is what we are doing is we are emptying out something of a lower nature, a lower vibration for us right now, and we are filling up instead with a thing of the high vibration. We are willing to let go of the immediate gratification because we can see the long-term payoff of making that sacrifice. And so this week, when we think about this idea of decrease, wherever decrease happens to us, in other words, we feel like something has been taken away, there's been some loss or some reduction, perhaps a big customer or a key staff member, wherever we feel like the decrease has happened, this week is a fantastic opportunity to use this energy to see where is the higher. If we let go of the lower, we embrace the higher. And what does this change that we're experiencing this week allow us to do through that? Wherever we can with this hexagram, it is wise to lean into its energy and to bring decrease into anything that is excessive. Okay. That means excessive use of our time on things that are not value adding, whether that's social media, whatever, or socializing, whatever it is. Whatever is of the lower for you this week, in exchange for the higher, for the long-term better gain, the payoff, this week we have the opportunity to restructure. I often think whenever this hexagram comes up of what subscriptions do I have that I'm paying for I'm not using? And then I think, what can I decrease? What unnecessary outflows can I decrease in my life in this time period? Because this is what the energy is allowing us to do, allowing us to pay attention to, is where we have physical, emotional, mental, spiritual outflows, right, that don't lead to the higher. Okay, they just are outflows. And we can then approach our lives not just thinking about decrease in terms of not having cash in the bank, or that might be your experience, that the account goes down, okay, because maybe you're investing in something of a long-term value, okay. It's that idea of pay attention to where the decrease is happening, because it's signaling where the future increase must come from. And of course, we all should think carefully around where we are making a sacrifice that is not for the higher, where it's just a sacrifice. Someone else is benefiting because you are throwing away your energy or putting your energy into something that doesn't lead to a return. Okay, so there's lots for us to think about when we think about the idea of being decreased or decreasing, taking active responsibility for reducing what is in excess in our lives, and allowing the hexagram this week to focus on the reduction as a strategic move. Okay. Seeing wherever that event happens, wherever you feel that reduction happen, not to panic, to see, is that reduction helping me move into something of a higher? Am I making a worthy sacrifice at this time? And of course, time is probably the most important resource we have in how we choose what we sacrifice it for. Okay, so our feelers are tuned into reduction. Okay, might find it as a loss, but thinking about where does that loss give something of a higher, and where can I reduce something of a lower in my life? Just for this week, perhaps, just for a temporary thing of just putting down the instant gratification just for this week, because there's something else that's important. Perhaps you have a big project or something that's really important for you to be super focused on, to be laser focused on, and lots of social engagements and other commitments and things just in this week will take that focus away from you. And maybe just for this week, okay, just for today, just for this week, you put those things aside and you be hyper-focused. That's why there's a laser focus idea behind this hexagram. We are putting down things that are distractions, unnecessary, that are just noise. And we're focusing on what is really essential, what's really important. 3 changing lines. Whew, here we are again. Our monthly for March had 3 changing lines, and here in a weekly we have 3 changing lines, which is going to make this energy quite intensive as we work through it. We have changing lines in the 1st, 4th, and 5th positions. Okay, in the 1st position, this changing line says that when we are done with our job, right, when we are done with a task, or we're done completing something, or we have skills, and someone else is struggling and is not complete, it is great and good for us to rush in to help those other people once our tasks are finished. But we have to bear in mind that we don't do that to the decrease of ourself. Okay. And if we are a leader, we have to be very mindful how we use people's time and energy. So there's something here around getting something done, getting going, clearing out your dashboard, and being very conscious around how you don't decrease yourself by what you do next. Okay. Good to help other people. We should do that. We should rush into support, but we just have to keep things in balance and be mindful of how we don't decrease ourselves in the situation. Okay, so that's the focus of changing line 1, not being decreased by the help, but rushing into help. When your job is done, when you have finished that project and you've got a little bit of spare capacity, is do what you can to help others, as long as it does not decrease you. Okay, in the 4th position, this decrease is being focused on decreasing our faults and the relationships and connections that are no longer good for us. Okay, so this is a personal development, or they all are personal development lines. This line says we need to really look at our own faults in our character, okay, and we have to decrease those. We have to step into the higher. Let go of the lower and embrace the higher characteristics in ourselves. Perhaps we have an experience this week where we are challenged to step outside of our principles, okay, and we see that, okay, and we work with that. But really, this is about letting go of our faults and being really conscious of where other associations or situations are no longer good for us and decreasing those as well. So it's not just about ourselves, it's about the world we're in, decreasing things that are not good for us. And of course, the starting point is always the internal. What can we decrease in our own nature that is actually making this a lot tougher than it needs to be? Let's start there. Self-development. And then in the fifth position, this decrease talks about the increase that comes from being mild and modest and honorable and having worked on ourselves, having developed our character of being great leaders, of great listeners, of great people, that when we develop that characteristic within ourselves, the door opens, the flow happens, the blessings come because we have decreased the lower in favor of the higher. Line 5 is an elevated position of abundance and success if we have taken the lessons of being decreased of the lower in favor of the higher, where we give fertile ground to our higher principles and to the idea of how we move through the world, help other people, engage with the world around us while maintaining our sovereignty. A wonderful line that brings those blessings in through the door. Right? There isn't even a door to open. The door is just wide open. The flow is there. The blessings come because we have done that. Okay, so it's not decrease. It becomes increase because we have decreased the part of ourselves that kept that door closed. And then our second hexagram for this week, where does this all flow to? Okay, it flows into hexagram 6, conflict. Oh, no. Okay, and hexagram 6, conflict, can often refer to a time of heads bashing. 2 bison bashing their heads for territory. 2 male deer. Okay. And it refers to how do we deal when we come into conflict with somebody else. Okay, how do we deal with that? Now, the thing with this hexagram is that it's all about de-escalation. Okay. If we step into escalating the conflict, we are out of flow with this hexagram. We are losing touch with what this hexagram is trying to develop within us. The skills we are building here are to build the skills to de-escalate, to understand that we can only move forward when we have shared interests that are common that can be moved forward. All right. While we are separate and we can't understand each other's needs, we cannot find a way forward. All that happens is we escalate the chaos. We make it harder to find the common negotiating area around what we're trying to do. De-escalate, de-escalate, de-escalate. Okay. Perhaps there is someone around you who just wants to fight with everyone, no matter what. Okay. They are in full conflict mode. Our task is to guide them into de-escalation. All right. Ask great questions. Be mentors. Challenge them to think differently, to find the common area where we have shared interests and move forward. So it might not be you that is creating the conflict or experiencing the conflict firsthand, but you might be slightly off the position, guiding someone else through a process of understanding. And your task is to help him understand that de-escalation in this situation, finding commonality, finding common ground, is the only way to deal with the conflict. It does not get better escalating the conflict. It does not on any level. And that's what we are learning this week. So lots going on. We're decreasing, we're focusing, we're laser beaming, we are putting down the noise, we are letting go of the lower in favor of the higher, the short-term reward versus the long-term gain. And we are thinking about how to do that, not in conflict with others or conflict internally, but in harmony with others, because we understand how to move this whole thing forward in a powerful and positive way. We can overcome this conflict by being our best selves, being in principle, like in line 5 of hexagram 41, the door opens and blessings can flow because we have found a way into our master self in a situation, and therefore we can move everyone through the conflict into peaceful harmony. Thank you so much for being here with me for this weekly forecast. Let's go and get the week. Let's be proactive co-creators of change in our lives, be our master principle selves. And if this was valuable to you, please hit that thumbs up. A like would be great. And of course, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe and the bell and the follow button. You know what to do on all those platforms to get the episodes straight into your app as they land once a week and once a month. Until then, take care.